Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor. I have good coffee this morning. The coffee that my wife got me that was on sale, I've put on the back burner. That's kind of going to be like my reserve tank coffee, just in case I run out of the good stuff from now on. And so I'm in a good place this morning. This is from XRP Crypto Wolf. This is about Malta. Now, for those of you that don't know, Malta is a tiny island, but they decided they wanted to be blockchain island, and they're doing a good job of it. Malta is now the first nation worldwide to roll out its education certificates and credentials on blockchain. And so this is just, I kind of said it yesterday. Governments of the world need to take notes, because these countries like Malta that are removing all these stupid restrictions that are being put on businesses around the world, watch what happens there. Same thing in Lichtenstein and in, I believe, Switzerland, in Zug, Switzerland. I think that's another area where they're doing the same kind of thing. They're taking the shackles off of blockchain and businesses so that the industry can grow. That's the recipe for success, folks. Give people freedom, give businesses freedom. Take the handcuffs off and watch what they can do. Give people and businesses a little freedom and watch what happens. So keep your eyes on Malta. Next, this is from Crypto Dash at crypto_XRP. Petition calls for U.S. to sell Montana to Canada for $1 trillion to help pay off national debt. Well, there's one thing that I've always said, and that is that the U.S. cannot pay off their national debt. Well, this reminded me of the one caveat to that. There's only one way, in my opinion, that the U.S. could ever get out from under the debt that it's in, and that is to sell a lot, not some, but a lot of the U.S. lands, like national parks and things like what this guy's talking about. That is the one way that the United States could do it, but they're not going to do it. There will be a world war before they do that. And so you can forget this, even though I think the guy's on the right track. But the debt will never be satisfied. That's the answer, folks. The debts of the United States and many of the countries around the world will not be satisfied. And owning digital assets will be one of the things that's a savior to the people who these governments have lopped this debt on the backs of, you and me. And so, I just thought this was interesting, because for once somebody actually says something that makes sense. The only way you get the debt off of you is to do something drastic like this, because the debt is drastic and it's ridiculous and it's embarrassing. And no responsible thinking human being would do it unless they would put a country in this kind of debt, unless that everything they were doing was spending other people's money, which is what politicians and governments do. Spend other people's money that's not their own. And, it's an interesting concept in life. And I tell my kids all the time, if you earn the money, you look at that money through a whole different lens than if the money is just handed to you. And that goes for anything. If you're given something, you appreciate it far less than if you earn it. And you young people out there, I know that you may not like to hear that, but go earn a few bucks and see what the difference is in the way you look at that money versus a few bucks that somebody hands to you. Huge difference. Okay, moving along. Now this is huge right here, folks. This is huge, and this is from XRP James T. At XRP James sent this to me, and let me show you what this is about. Google introduces new Bitcoin keyboard currency symbol. And this is all you need to see. This is on the, says, in what some view as a landmark move, I do, Google developers have added the Bitcoin currency symbol to the iOS keyboard. The move by a company so successful, it's evolved its domain name into a verb, reflects Bitcoin's mainstream trajectory. Look at that, folks. That is massive right there. It's massive. Seems like something small, but that is massive. And so if you want adoption, I give you adoption. And as usual, mistakenly, these guys are letting Bitcoin go through the door first. They'll figure out that mistake over time. Just give them a little time and they'll figure out what you and I as XRP holders already know. Okay, now this is interesting too. Pop, bang, JP Morgan coin, hedge fund sources claim surge in volumes and prices directly tied to JP Morgan announcement. This is from Abacus Journal. I want to read you this. Listen very closely, folks. This is very interesting. One hedge fund source said the following: every adult with a bank account and job knows who JP Morgan is. So the announcement of a native cryptocurrency brought interest to a renewed and fresh level that had been diminished throughout nearly all of 2018. My wife even asked me about it the day after it was announced. The huge bounce in volumes in Bitcoin and, for example, Bitcoin futures at CME are indicative of the wave the announcement caused. Second hedge fund source went a step further. And here's a quote: "It isn't that far-fetched to foresee a look back in 6 months and point to the JP Morgan coin as the catalyst that busted the bear market. Sentiment and narrative play a huge role in what remains pretty small markets at this point. The JP Morgan news pushed prices higher across the board, and those price increases seriously validated by a surge in volumes." Now listen to these last two lines here, because this is a big deal, folks. It's actually 2 or 3 lines. "Again, nobody with a reasonable grip on the history and mission of Bitcoin and crypto believes that the JPM coin poses any sort of an existential threat to the ecosystem. In fact, those that claim that it may just be another S coin may not be that far off." And here's the line I want you to listen to, folks. "Be that as it may, everybody we've run into that is outside the crypto echo chamber has one question and one question alone: what do you think of JPM coin?" Now, folks, this is me talking now. I want you to take something really important out of this. Now, remember, what he's basically saying here is that the announcement by Jamie Dimon of the JPM coin set off the market to go crazy. Well, you need to think about this in the right terms. And here's the right terms. Think about this for a minute. For not just the last year, but the last 5+ years, all of the bankers, all the central banks, all the governments of the world have told the average Joe public, "Oh, these are fraud coins. This is dangerous. Hackers can get your money." All those awful things. This is rat poison. This is what the average Joe public has heard. You and I that are in this crypto echo chamber, a lot of times we forget. Now think, it's just 5% or less who have even heard of Bitcoin, much less XRP. Now, but this is a huge advantage that you and I have being here now, because they just told you just how early. All it took was just a tiny hint of mainstream, someone that they've heard of, JP Morgan, when the reality is, what average Joe public doesn't realize is JP Morgan and all of those traditional people who these people have been listening to for all these years, crypto is the answer to the wrongs that those people have committed, to the wrongs that the bad things those people, like bailouts and future bail-ins and printing money and putting countries in debt and citizens in debt that they can never come back from. That's the dirty little secret. Average Joe public doesn't really understand that. By the time they do really compute that and understand it, JPM coin will be the furthest thing that they invest in. They will flood to the digital assets that represent a counter to those traditional people who have done them wrong when they truly realize it. And it may take a big crisis for them to truly realize it. But in the meantime, for in the meantime and in the short and mid run, that's fine. Let JPM coin be what draws the average Joe public, the average sheeple. Let that be what draws them to this industry. That's fine. In the mid to long term, though, they're going to tell Jamie Dimon to shove it like they should. All right, moving along. This is from Sergeant Obi-Wan. Japan, now this is just yet another example of what's coming, folks. Japan Central Bank examines digital currencies again. Now, I can't tell, and he says just a matter of time, they will. And I'm not going to go into this article other than to say I've seen central bank over the last 5+ years, central banks have visited, revisited, banned, you name it with cryptocurrency. But I've told you all along, it's just a matter of time before they all come up with their own way to get their arms around this. And if they can't turn their back on it because it's a global phenomenon, that's the dirty little secret. Japan will figure that out just like everybody else. and the Maltas of the world are the reason that they don't have any choice, because Malta is its own little deal. Lichtenstein is its own little deal. And here is a little example of Lichtenstein. Also from Sergeant Obi-Wan, Bank Frick bids to target institutional investors with digital asset trading. Liechtenstein stepping up their game. Bank Frick is a bank in Liechtenstein, and they started allowing their customers to trade in digital assets, I think a year ago, or maybe even before that. And they're leading the way because they are one of the wealthiest they're one of the destinations of the world, one of the top destinations of the world for the wealthiest people in the world. The world's billionaires and future trillionaires go there to put their money. And so it's not a coincidence that Liechtenstein has become a haven for the world's billionaires to go and open accounts and to form foundations. That's where they go. It's not a coincidence that they're trying to be on the cutting edge of digital assets. They know what's coming. Next, from C3 Nick. This is just some tech stuff on this S10. I told you yesterday that the new Samsung phone will have a crypto wallet on it. And C3 Nick points out Galaxy S10 is built with defense-grade Samsung Knox, as well as a secure storage backed by hardware which houses your private keys for blockchain-enabled mobile services. Now, I'm not weighing in on whether I think this is somewhere I would store my digital assets or not. I don't know enough about it yet. But what I am telling you is, you want to see what adoption looks like? How about these guys who have sold, I think they said they sold over 2 billion Galaxy phones over the course of the last few years, and now they're building crypto wallets into them? You do the math. Okay, moving along. I got this from Sean Schaefer, at Sean Schaefer 10. And he sent me this. It reminded me, Wheat Say Wind did an Ask Me Anything. Well, he did an almost Ask Me Anything last night. I have not even watched this yet myself, but go to Wheat Say Wind is an awesome guy, and he's a great guy to follow in the XRP community. He's a developer. He's a very smart guy. He's developing things like he developed the XRP tip bot, and he's developing things now, and he's funded by Spring, which is the Ripple initiative. So go, and I think this AMA is going to tell you some of the things he's got cooking. So it'll be worth watching. Next, there was 2 things that made me laugh this morning, and I wanted to show them to you. For those of you that don't know, I've made comments in the past about, I think, what they call Dogecoin. Well, I in one of my videos, I called it Dogcoin, and Crypto Dave made fun of me about calling it Dogcoin. And so I told him from this day forward on my channel, it will be called Dogcoin as a tribute to Crypto Dave. He's at Crypto Dave 13. Go give him a follow. And then he copied C3 Nick because he put the dog on the cookie. And C3 Nick is always putting out the cookies to have a cookie and relax. And finally, I don't ever play you videos on this channel, but I'm going to play you one right now. This made me laugh out loud this morning. This is from XRP Veteran. When you just want to buy more XRP, but your wife keeps telling you no, rejecting you. Watch this, folks. Well, I can't get the sound to go. Anyway, go to XRP, or maybe it is playing for you guys. But go to XRP Veteran and watch this video. I'm going to hit the pause button on it. This is so funny because this little baby, this reminds me of my 6-year-old. He is so hard-headed, and he'll toy with me just like this baby does all the time. And this baby is just sitting there, and the mother keeps telling the baby not to touch that water, and he keeps looking at her and inching towards it and trying to mess with her. And I thought it was just hilarious. And it is a parallel to your wife not wanting you to buy more crypto. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family to go watch XRP Veteran's video. It is funny. Thanks for listening.